We are not only the only ones fishing in that pool, we also have to invest in talents to make sure that we develop our own people.
Welcome to the Enabling Green Mobility podcast by Vossloh, and thank you very much for tuning in. Today I have the pleasure to welcome Esther Quednau to our podcast. I'm very happy to have you here. Esther is Head of Human Resources at Vossloh Rail Services, and I'm very happy that you're here.
Hi Timon, also pleasure's on me. Happy to be here.
It's actually the first time for me hosting the Enabling Green Mobility podcast. It's also the very first podcast for me. How about you? Have you ever been on a podcast?
I haven't, so it's the same for me. It's my first time being an active part of a podcast, but actually I'm a podcast junkie when it comes to listening. So I'm really happy to get the opportunity to be now part of one.
Before we dive into the serious HR topics, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where do you come from? When did you start at Vossloh?
Yes, I like to do that. So I was born and raised in Berlin in the late 70s. And after finishing school, I started to study law in Berlin. And I took my first state examination at the Free University of Berlin. And after that, I took what we call a Referendariat, which is like a 2 years trainee program for future judges and lawyers, where you have different stages, like at the civil court, at the office of prosecution, or in a law firm. And after that, I had my second state examination and was now ready to start my career. But I decided, as I've never been outside of Germany before, to take a master of international business law at the University of Exeter in the UK. So I spent 1 year in England. And then I came back for my first real job, which was in Hamburg, to work for a big UK law firm where I was specialized in employment law. And so I worked as a lawyer for around 6 years. And then the next 13 years I spent on the other side, so at company side, and worked for different fashion and retail companies such as Pick and Kloppenburg, Zalando, and Esprit. And Zalando again. That was my last job before moving to Vossloh. And during that time, I switched more and more from a lawyer role into a real operational HR role, which I really prefer, as it's much more operational, much more business driven. So after working in fashion for so long, it was like the next logical step to work for rail infrastructure now. And so I had the pleasure to come back to Hamburg and to work for Vossloh Rail Services as a head of HR since August 2023.
We always hear about the term Fachkräftemangel, so the shortage of skilled labor. How do you look at that from a Vossloh and specifically Vossloh Rail Services perspective?
Oh yes, the Fachkräftemangel is something that we have to deal with, actually. So it's not only some buzzword flying around, but we have to deal with it. And if you look at Vossloh Rail Services, we are growing business units. So in the last 4 years, or 4 years ago, we had a headcount of 470 people in Germany. 4 years later, we now have 630. That's a growth of 35% in only 4 years. So that means we hired more than 100 employees in 2023 and also in 2024. And at the same time, we are facing higher attrition rates of more than 10%. That means we are not only hire for our growth, but we also hire to replace people that left the company. And of course, we are not the only employer constantly looking for skilled workers, but also our competitors are facing the same issues. And so the lack of skilled workers also leads to the often heard term war of talents. which does not stop at our doors, but leads to drain of our existing workforce as other companies try to entice away our employees, offering supposedly better terms and conditions or a bit more money here and there. So this is something we also face. It's not only finding new talent, but it's also retaining our talents.
Now we heard about the Fachkräftemangel, about the overall situation, and what are you and VRS are doing against the Fachkräftemangel, about the shortage of skilled labor?
So for Vossloh as a group and also for VRS, there's only one thing we can do about it. We have to become the #1 employer in our business sector for skilled but also for unskilled workers that we then have to qualify on the job. And for that, becoming the #1 employer in the rail infrastructure industry, we are already driving a lot of initiatives. So one, for example, is we are really proud that Vossloh Germany, not only VRS, but the whole German Vossloh business has been named top employer for the second consecutive year now. So, and this is not some obscure title that you can buy somewhere, but you have to actually undergo quite some proceedings and an audit process to get that title. And it's about fair working conditions, attractive wages and benefits, transparent processes, and successful development opportunities. So this is really something that we can use for marketing and also for our employer brand. And of course, it also helps that we are the enabler for green mobility and that our jobs are located in a sustainable business environment, because more and more people are looking for purpose in their job and they want more than only title and money, but they want to make an impact when it comes to their life choices. So, which perfectly matches with our vision to make the world a better place by us enabling green mobility.
But still, you know, with all the benefits that you're talking about and being one of the employers of choice, there obviously are some challenges that you are facing. Can you tell us about those challenges?
Yes, of course. As mentioned before, given our significant growth in the past and the growth we are planning for the future, our biggest challenges for us is finding the right talents and then develop and retain our employees. And for VRS, it's especially challenging that we are a service provider for everything about rails. And as such, we have to offer our services where the rails are, meaning in Germany, in Europe, and all around the world. And thus, a large part of our workforce has to be extremely flexible and mobile, as they have to go where our contractors need them. And our services, they range from transporting rails, changing old rails for new rails, maintaining existing rails by grinding or milling with our big famous yellow machines, as you know, the HSG, but also offering smaller services. So these services do require our people to travel a lot and to also work at night, because at night it's easier to close lines for maintenance reasons. So we demand a lot from our people when it comes to working conditions, which are not attractive to everybody, and also explains parts of our attrition rates, as people are willing to work like this for a couple of years, but probably not forever or not until retirement. So in addition, we just not only need manpower like you do in logistics, where you can basically hire anybody and it's easy to train for the job, but we need skilled workers who have experience in the rail industry, especially given the highly strict safety regulations and also the qualification and skills you need to operate our big yellow machines. But as this pool of experienced employees is of course limited, and we are not only the only ones fishing in that pool, we also have to invest in talents to make sure that we develop our own people and not just can fill our needs from the outside market. And therefore, I'm really proud to say that we are currently having 25 trainees. So that's Azubis, like the official vocational education, but also working students. And we try to offer all of them a continuous employment after they finish, say, traineeship. So we are really working on building our own talents and make sure that we, for ourselves, build up the people that we need.
And what are the specific initiatives that you and the team are running in order to attract new interested people? Do you run any campaigns or any other employer branding initiatives?
Yeah, there are different ways that we are dealing with this. So we work together with our employment branding team at Vossloh AG, but we also are investing in more small films, video snippets from our jobs to post these on social media, which especially for blue-collar workers is quite a good tool to attract people. But we are also go to job fairs or trainee fairs. So we are working together with universities to attract people, where we have our stall and then offer games and goodies from Vossloh just to make our brand a bit more famous also with young people.
So for anyone out there listening who has a general interest in working at Vossloh or on the tracks, how would you convince those people to come to Vossloh, both in Germany but also outside of Germany?
So I would say if you're looking for a job with a purpose in a thriving green sector, and if you appreciate to work in a positive and team-spirited international environment combined with technical interest, then I would say feel welcome to VRS. And besides the jobs, as you say, which are out there on the tracks, we are also offering a wide range of jobs which do not require such a high level of mobility and flexibility. So we also have our stationary rail centers, and of course we have the headquarters in Hamburg, where we offer all kinds of jobs also for IT, engineering, finance, HR, and also important to say, we are a growing business outside of Germany. So we have businesses in Scandinavia, France, Netherlands, China. We are growing in the US and in Australia. So any internationals also highly welcome to VRS.
So in order to further expand as VRS, but also with our workforce, we obviously also need to have the right equipment and machines ready to go out on the tracks. How is it looking on the machine side? Are we fully equipped, or do we need more skilled people to join us?
We always need more skilled people to join us, especially as most of the machines, not the big yellow ones, but like the HSG City or the VTM Compact, our bit smaller milling machine and grinding machines, we built them here in Hamburg from scratch. So we also need engineers and people who are able to build those machines. It's not only operating, but we develop and build them by ourselves.
Esther, what can you tell us about where Vossloh Rail Services is currently growing? Is it only in Germany, or is it also globally?
Very good point, because for now we were talking about the growth in Germany, but we are also growing very fast outside of Germany with businesses in Scandinavia, France, the Netherlands, China, the US and Australia, and much more to come in the next years. So any internationals are also highly welcome at VRS.
Yes, thank you very much for giving us some insights on the overall HR topics HR challenges as well. Maybe it also would be interesting for our listeners to understand a little bit how you can disconnect from work. Do you have any preferences outside of work? I heard something about animals or so.
Oh, yes, that's true. I have quite a big furry family with me. That is 1 dog, 2 cats, and 2 horses. And unlike with having kids, these furry family does never become independent of me. So they need like 24/7 care. They expect 3 meals per day. They expect that I clean their rooms and take care of everything. But jokes aside, I'm really happy to have that, and especially with the horses. It feels like when I go out there at evening, which I do almost every evening after work, I go to the stables, and it always feels like a 2-hour vacation for me. Because if you work with the horses or train them, you cannot have your focus elsewhere. So you totally have to concentrate on them, because otherwise they will know that you're not with your whole heart with it, and they demand your full attention, and that really makes me disconnect like every day. And I'm happy that I have that strong bond with the animals, and they will always do something funny or cute that makes me smile, even after a challenging day at work.
Great. Thank you very much, Esther. I guess for me, it was super interesting to get to know you, mostly on a professional side, obviously, but also on a personal side. So thank you very much for sharing all your insights. It was great to listen to that. It was also great to understand how you try to, overcome the challenges on the HR side to attract new people. So yeah, I definitely thank you very much for that. And to all the listeners out there, thank you very much for joining in. Have an open eye and ear for the next Enabling Green Mobility podcast. Cheers.